What if the most efficient factory floor in ancient Pompeii wasn't a forge, but a bakery? You're about to see why an 8-wedged 20-centimeter loaf solved a city-scale feeding problem. We'll follow the clues. 81 carbonized loaves at the bakery of Modestus, donkey-driven querns grinding non-stop, and a brick oven turning dough into standardized rations. The central depression, the tight waist, the 8 cuts. Each detail points to logistics, not luck. Stay with this footage and watch how a simple wheel of bread became Roman mass production in action. Have you ever seen bread that looks stamped, not shaped by hand? This is how the 8-wedge disc sets the tone. You see a round form, about a handspan, and a bit more across, scored clean like a gear face. Each cut bites in. A shallow dip sits in the center. A tight waist pinches the rim. It reads like someone pressed a tool, then tied a belt and let heat do the rest. Panis Quadratus looks simple, but it speaks a process. Round, about 20 centimeters across. 8 neat wedges radiate out. The middle sinks slightly. A cord line cinches the belly. No flourishes, just marks that repeat across many loaves, like a stamp on clay. The face sells order, the body holds it. So what drives this look? Ritual art or ruthless efficiency? The motif shows up again and again, not as a one-off flourish, but as a run. You can treat that as style, or you can read it as a rule. Repetition hints at a template. A shop that needs speed does not want guesswork on the bench. Watch as we pair those carbonized crusts with simple forming tools. A blunt wheel sets the spokes in one quick turn. String bites a groove and checks spread. A band slips around the dough and tells it where to stop. None of this is fancy. It's shop logic. One press, one tie, one lift to the peel. In an oven, dough wants to sprawl. Heat hits, steam pushes. Soft mass slides wide. Constraint makes units match. Think of a cookie cutter that also controls swelling. The cut lines act as rails. The band acts like a hoop on a barrel. The loaf grows, but it grows inside a frame. Early analysis flagged even divisions and a dark, tight crust over a paler, lighter crumb. That mix points to a hot skin, swift set. And a plan. You get crisp segment edges when rise and heat meet a fixed form. You don't get that by chance or by wish. Now check the floor of that brick oven. No pans sit under the rounds, yet the loaves hold those clean edges. That signals work done before the bake shape gets locked on the bench, not coaxed mid-fire. The hearth supplies heat and color. The bench supplies geometry. Standard diameter sets more than looks. It fixes bake time. It sets stack height on the cooling rack. It sets a hand feel at the counter. When every unit matches, you load rows with the same gap, sweep with the same peel stroke, and pull at the same cue. A loaf becomes a unit, not a guess. The score lets you sell by segment. The waist helps you lift, hang, or line up loaves for a bundle. Mini payoff. The factory look is real. The geometry is logistics baked in, not decoration. You can see the stamp, the cinch, the controlled rise, and the hard set working as a small system. Time to see the machine behind the shape, the mills that feed it, the gear that kneads it, and the brick that holds the heat. What drives uniform bread? Not just a recipe, an ecosystem. Here are some moving parts. A shop that runs like a line, grain in, bread out. The form you saw owes its life to a floor plan that runs on rhythm, torque, and heat. Start at the door. Carts roll up from the horrea. Sacks drop. Workers tip grain into hoppers. Donkey-driven querns take over. This machine, paired rotary stones, turns grain at a steady rate. The pace is fixed by muscle and stone, not mood. Flour streams out in a grainy fall that says, batch size starts here. Output sets the clock. When the querns hum, the bench wakes, sifters work, fine flour piles, coarser bits head to feed. The crew reads the flow and stages tubs of water, salt, leaven go in. Everything aligns to the grind, not the other way around. Now the kneading gear. Rotating arms sweep through the tubs like a slow mixer. Bars push, fold and press again and again. The bowl walls do part of the work. Dough turns smooth. Hydration stays tight. That means predictable oven spring. If the dough rises the same, the shape locks the same. You can load fast and trust the result. A city eats daily. Grain arrives by cart. Wood stacks by the furnace. Can one shop keep pace without standard units? Not a chance. Standard size cuts chaos. Workers sync to that rhythm. One person cuts, one cinches, one moves the peel. Each step repeats. Time to the oven. The brick vault holds heat like a battery. The floor matters. You read the ember bed, rake, and reload. Thermal mass evens the swings. You stage a new batch when the stone says yes, not when the clock nags. A repeatable 20 centimeter round means known spacing and known heat flow. You place loaves in a grid your arm remembers. Peel work is his own dance. Slide in, quarter turn. Gap stays true so steam can roll. Watch as the crust sets. The banded waist and the scored lines keep the swell in bounds. You see segments hold, not smear. That tells you the discipline happened before loading. Evidence shows loaves baked on the floor, not in pans. So control sits on the bench. The tools mark, the tie cinches, the dough behaves. Urban life sets the tempo. 12,000 mouths pull on the same rope. Bakers align to supply routes and fuel cycles. Mornings serve cues. Nights feed the oven. Bread becomes the metronome. When grain is late, the line stutters. When fuel is lean, the batches stretch. When all lands on time, the wheel spins smooth. So what made it look like an assembly line? Linked machines, timed labor, a standard unit, the 8-wedged loaf. The mills set pace. The mixer locks texture, the oven stamps finish. The counter moves product by the segment. We've seen production. Now the signature cuts. Why 8? And what job does that central dip do? Why exactly 8? Not 7, not 9. This answer lives in the cut lines. Each score sets a break. Each space sets a rule. The circle turns into 8 fixed units you can split without tools. The central dip marks a point to grip, flip, or stack. The waist keeps edges tight so the cuts stay crisp after the swell. Think of it as a control system. Breakpoints for fast service. Handling points for clean moves. Shelf logic so loaves sit flush and don't splay. You can line 3 on a board without drift. You can tie a bundle and know it will ride straight. This is how shape becomes workflow. Is the pattern ceremonial or practical? Scholars split. Some read cultural signals in the scoring and the rise. The oven tells a colder story. Logistics. A floor bake that holds clean lines means work was set before heat. Marks, cinch, and measured rise make the design repeat without fuss or prayer. Like a chocolate bar scored to snap, the loaf invites a tidy break. You sell a wedge to a worker. You break 2 for a stew. You pass 8 around a table, and each hand gets the same bite. The snap is built in. The knife stays on the hook. Uniformity hints at a standard, not flair. Rows of discs share the same wheel cuts, the same waist groove, the same dip. When dozens match, a shop is using rules a worker can cut blindfolded and still hit the lines, because the tool sets the path, not the hand. Handling matters. A twine cinch or a band does more than shape. It gives a hold for fast carry. It stops edge bruises in a stack. It lets you hang a bundle on a peg while a buyer waits for change. That central dip might ease steam off the crown, or give a thumb place when you lift two at once. Small, but it saves seconds all day. Leavening sits in the debate, sourdough culture or other starts. Either way, rise must play nice with the score. A dough that blooms on cue holds the segment corners and hits weight without drift. If the rise runs wild, lines blur. If it stalls, crumb compacts. The shop tunes the starter, the water, and the rest, time to keep that snap. 8 is clean math at the counter. 1 price per wedge, 2 wedges for a set coin. Civic rations can assign 1/8 per head and scale by household, no scale needed. No talk. The cut lines say the rules. So why 8? Portion control that speeds the sale. Breakability that keeps service quick. Crisp segments that keep weight steady. And why did bakers matter? Because whoever sets daily portions moves the city's clock and trades favor for food. The form proves the system. The footage shows the method. Time to follow those circles into the streets that eat them. The 8-wedge loaf is a small standard machine. It moves calories on time. Cuts, set portions. The waste log spread. The dip cues handling shape runs the shift so a city can eat on schedule. This is how design becomes supply.